here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be hanging out with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And for this new edition of Pacer Pride, as you know, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media are the proud multimedia marketing partner of Marywood University, the first in history for Marywood University, covering their athletic programs, student athletes, coaches, and staff members. And it's all called Pacer Pride because that's exactly what we have, as I'm a proud alum of 2007. So with that being said, our Spotlight Pacer Pride today, this broadcast, goes to Zack Haney. Zack Haney joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as the aquatic director, as well as the head swimming and diving coach at Marywood University for today's special. Zack, how you doing today?
I am doing great, Dan. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here. And Zack, I mean, everybody can see it here on the screen. You're a young man. How old are you?
Oh, man. Well, I thank you for saying that. I am 28 years young. So probably one of the younger coaches that you have talked to during your rounds here. But yeah, that's probably something that stands out about people to me. I am fairly young for someone who has taken the helm of a program, and I'm very fortunate in that regard. It comes with its own challenges, but I've been blessed to be able to get to this point. And I'm not sure if we're going to mention this at any time soon, but I am an alumni of Marywood University. So it's like to be able to be there at my alma mater is quite an honor.
You know, and having that honor and being connected in that sense. And I asked how old you are because, you know, young coaches out there, people that are told that they can't do it. It's too young. You can't take over something. I started broadcasting professionally. I think, you know, all throughout Marywood University, my 4 years there, I take that as all experience and I tack that on. But coming out of Marywood University, I was told you can't have a show on ESPN until you're about 30, 31. And I was 22. So to me, it's not about what the rules are. To me, it's about what you're willing to do and what you're willing to go after. So I asked, because I know you're one of the young coaches at Marywood University, and I think it's a phenomenal thing to show the community that it doesn't matter what age you are. It just matters your capability, how much you care, and, you know, your networking. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but caring, networking, knowing the product, knowing how to sell the product, and obviously being a good coach all have places in this. So congratulations on being 28 years young, and congratulations on being one of the young coaches of any sport here in America.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I don't necessarily look at it that broadly, but yeah, I mean, I will tell you for one thing, starting out young, I'm sure you understand this, starting out young, you learn quick. You feel like you get old fast, like once you start out young. It's taking over something with, you know, maybe not as many years in the underparts of the apprenticeship types of things. Like the job itself becomes your teacher very fast, but it is a good teacher though.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, you feel really old. You know, people ask how many years have I been broadcasting? I tell them 18. I started at 18, but when I say 18 years, it makes me sound like I'm like 60 years old. So I get that wholeheartedly. You're an alum of Marywood University, and so am I. What made you come to Marywood University?
Well, so it's a funny story. So when I was a senior and I was first deciding where I wanted to go to college. Here's a spoiler for the story, though. I didn't start at Marywood. So essentially speaking, I was a pretty good swimmer. I'm not going to say I was like a super national swimmer or anything, but I was pretty good. I was qualifying for like national meets. I wasn't placing super high. I was just like, I was that guy who was qualifying. So I was pretty good. And I thought I had to go Division I. Like that was my mindset, as the mindset of a lot of students that are 18 years old. They that have some talent. They're like, I got to go D1 because that's what I got to do because I'm good. And if I don't go D1, I'm not good. So that's what I thought I needed to do. So I was looking at a lot of nothing big Division I, nothing like a Penn State or a Texas or a Stanford or anything like that. But some of those like lower D1s that you don't really hear about. And I won't say the school's name or anything that I ended up going to, but I did go to a Division I school for a year, and I found out that it really wasn't what I was looking for. So like the culture was it's not that the culture is bad. It's just like it's a different kind of culture, and it wasn't necessarily what I was looking for. So you really have to be willing in Division I to make it your life. Like sport has to be your life. and like sport and school, and that's pretty much it. And there's not really room for much else. And there's not lots of options or flexibility. It's like you do it. Which once again, for someone who like, it is very much life. Swimming was my life, but like I wanted to have a little bit more of that flexibility and freedom. So after a year, I realized that I needed to change. Which when you're a kid, you feel like you got to pick and stick. But there's some people who are telling you like you can transfer, like you can go somewhere else. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I started looking very much into Division III at that point because like I was discounting D3 a bunch. Actually, the ironic part was Marywood did send me a lot of mail, like when I was being recruited, and I was like, I don't want to go to Marywood. It's a small D3 school. It used to be an all-girls school that I've never heard of, and my mother went to the University of Scranton, so obviously that's the bigger player in the area. And I was like, I don't need to go there. And I think our program is very new at Marywood too. So I think at that point it was in its second or third year when they were recruiting me. It's like 11 to 12 years now. But yeah, so I discounted very quickly. But as soon as things turned around and I had that new mindset, my mind was way more open, which was way better, if you are a recruit listening to this, my biggest advice is have a very open mind. Don't close yourself off to any opportunity. But then I went around looking at a bunch of D3 schools, the University of Scranton included, which was a very fine school, but I was in town. And I was like, I might as well go see Marywood. And I thought it was just going to be like, it's just going to be a stop on the road. But as soon as I stepped on that campus, I was like, whoa, like I was not expecting this. Like it was very nice. It was like just a little hidden gem because in this suburban area of Scranton, it was small, which I liked. The people really seemed to care about each other. It was a good community feel. Like it was modernizing itself. And the biggest thing was I really loved the coach, like Coach Greg Brown. He's really who convinced me to come. Like he really seemed like he cared about me as a person. He cared about my goals. He cared about where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. He cared about the fact that I wanted to be flexible. Like in swimming, like in my old school, I was like swimming 1, 2, 3 things, like only, like that's it. Like you pick something, you do it. But I was a swimmer that very much liked doing everything. I'm an IMer, so I really swim all the strokes. So I liked doing a lot of things. And he was like, well, you can do that. And I will let you, like, that's something we are okay with. And just in Division III, there was just so many more options. Like you can, it's not that the practice expectations are necessarily less. It's just you have more ways to go about it. And it's like, if you want to go really into it, you can. If you can only do a certain amount, that's okay too. And I just really loved my teammates once I got there too. It was just a team that felt really connected. Like we weren't vying for, we wanted to win in our conference and everything, of course, but like we weren't having that high end pressure of like, we need to perform. And if we don't perform today, then like, what good are we and all that stuff. And so we were all bonded together by something like that was deeper than just like how we did in the pool. So yeah, it was really like the people that just made me stick with Marywood. And then once I showed up for the swim team, there was a lot of other things that very much kept me there. And it was one of 3 of the best years of my life.
And you talk about the people. And I think, in digital media and broadcasting for me, in theater for me, in so many things that I got to do there in the communications world, as well as the athletic world, it was the people. It was not being a number. It was being a person. Marywood University, whatever your major is, that from my experience, whatever your major is, whatever you're doing, we talk about the people kept us there. The people, the connection, the realness of it all. And that to me, you saying that just brings it back for me that the people are what did it. Jay Hamrin, may he rest in peace, very good friend of mine. He was 70% of the reason why I came to Marywood University. It was the way he treated me. He knew my name when I walked through the door. He walked into the room like, I was talking to the receptionist and he walked in, he goes, hey, there he is, Dan Tortora, how you doing? He put his hand out and I couldn't believe that he knew my name, that he had spent any time being prepared for me coming on campus. I didn't think I'm anything special. I'm just here. And the people to this day, when you ask me who my closest friends are, a lot of them are from Marywood University. A lot of us have been friends for 17 years. It's the people. And I love that you said that because in the athletic world or in the scholastic world, I think it's important for people to know that Marywood University was about the people and continues to be about the people.
Yeah. I tell recruits all the time that like that's what's going to make the difference. Any college can have buildings or technology or facilities or anything, but it's really the people. You got to see how you fit with the people. One of my years in college, some speaker came and said that was like 75% of the reason people transfer in or out of a school is because of the people.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, all of my best friends are still people from Marywood. Maybe not 17 years quite yet, but a lot of my really good friends still are, people that I met at Marywood.
So when you're out there and you're recruiting for your programs, be it on the men's side or the women's side, when you're out there and you're looking for what could be the future of swimming and diving at Marywood University, how do you kind of put this whole message together when you talk about the people and that you're not a number and that we care about you, and at the same time just kind of what you offer, the fantastic facilities and the upgrades to that over the years that I've seen from being at Marywood? How do you kind of put it all together? I'm not asking for your playbook because I don't want anybody trying to use it against you, but how do you sell Marywood University?
Oh, I don't really think that my playbook is way more advanced than anybody else. If anything, it probably could use to be more like up to the level of certain things. I'm still learning so much. And I've had the grace of having coaches, instruct me in certain ways. And swimming is very much different when it comes to, except maybe track and field might be the only thing that's kind of close, but swimming is very much different when it comes to recruiting initially. Like, the first steps of recruiting are different because we can tell how good someone is at the sport itself by looking at a piece of paper or a result online. Like, when you play basketball, you can't really necessarily understand whether a certain player is good or not just based on whether the team won or even by their point total, because they could have been playing someone who was not very good. Whereas in swimming, a time is a time. Like, a time is like how fast. There is no like you swam a time in better circumstances or worse circumstances. Like, a time is a time. The pool's always the same length. Like, so we can kind of gauge skill. So like, that's not the part we have to really look heavily into when we're recruiting, because we know how good you are. Like, we can see it. But I like to try to interact with the kids as much as possible. I might not need to go to a meet to see how good you are, but I still try to get out there just to see who you are as a person. Like, to show you, first of all, that I care about recruiting you. I'm not just sending you an email. I want to meet you. I want to figure out more about you and how you could fit on this team, and just show that support. And I do tell my recruits too, when I observe them at meets or I come and I meet with them, I invite them to come to the university and meet with them. I'm looking for a little bit more than just how fast you are, because you could have a kid that's super fast, could like win all of his events or something like that, but he's a guy who doesn't show up to practice. Like, he's a guy that thinks he's too cool for school, or girl. There's girls like that too. I don't want to generalize. But they're a swimmer who thinks they're too cool for school and that they don't need to work and that they can just show up and swim and win, and that they don't have to respect the rules or that they get special treatment because that they're good. And I've had some of in my very many years as coaching at all different levels, have had plenty of those. But then you have those kids that maybe are more in the middle of the road, but by watching them, you can see that they have that drive, that they want to be better, that they don't care if they're already the best, they want to be better, or they want to work, that they enjoy the process, that they're a good teammate, that they support. Like, I want kids that support each other. I don't want like 17 kids to sit on the sidelines with all their headphones on in their own world. I want a team. I want people to be supporting each other, to uplifting each other. That's what makes people swim faster. When I was an athlete, nothing made me swim faster during a race than seeing my teammates at the other end of the pool at the end of the race, so that when I lift my head up to breathe, I can see everyone yelling at me to go faster. And when you get used to that, though, when there's no one there, then all of a sudden that's like defeating. So I want good teammates. I want hard workers. I want people who are willing to do what needs to be done. Like, and you'd be surprised at how many people, don't necessarily put that in there. But I can see that stuff more at meets. I can see who's wants to do all the process of what they need to do to get better. I can see who's preoccupied with helping their team, being a good leader versus being in their own bubble. And just whether you're a nice, friendly person that I think is, going to be a good addition to our team. I mean, a team is more than just a list of results. So just that personal interaction, I guess, this is a very long answer, but that personal interaction is a lot more telling than I think people realize. And especially in a sport for us, where it's easy to see how good you are already without needing to see you in person.
Yeah, and you brought so much to that, and I appreciate that. And you said, I don't want a bunch of people just, sitting out there with their headphones on, not listening to each other. This can become a very individualistic sport. How do you make it a community? How do you make sure that your team because this isn't basketball, this isn't football. You don't need everybody out there at the same time. So when it is individualistic by nature, how do you make it a team by culture?
You would be surprised with how much just practicing together brings a team. Swimming is not an easy sport. I'm going to put that out there right now. I know a lot of people might have that myth, maybe not at the higher levels, but I'm sure many a high school swimmer that might listen to this will be like, yeah, all my classmates think swimming is so easy. It's not. We're swimming miles a day at high speeds. It's a full body sport. Not saying it's harder or harder or less hard than any other sport, but it works you really hard. But like nothing can necessarily bring you together as much as kind of suffering through. I don't want to use the word suffering, but working through that together. So if there's two of you that are really pushing it in a set, and you're encouraging each other, you're uplifting each other, just through being next to one another, you're pushing yourself to go faster. That really can help more than you think in terms of like building up that camaraderie. It's like, yeah, like you, after a hard set or a hard practice, you get out of the pool and there's kind of this feeling between you of like, yeah, we all did that together. Like we all pushed through that. And it's like something that brings you together. And a lot of areas of life, sometimes difficulties are what kind of bring you together. Not saying that, swim practice is always difficult and terrible. And it's like, you don't want to show up because it's just a bunch of like hard stuff all the time. I mean, we obviously do stuff as a team. Like we do fun stuff every once in a while to try to, wind it down from the hard work that we do. And I don't know. I mean, competition is always, your points count. Like that's the thing. It's an individual sport towards a team goal. And you can, in a lot of ways, you can tangibly see how much you're contributing. Just like, this is how well I'm doing. And this is like everybody counts. We've had meets that have come down to like 1 or 2 points. And that literally means that anyone's finish could have been the difference between a win or a loss. Not just the guy who won first or the like relay that got first, the guy who got fifth, that could have been the difference. That's so I think that really kind of brings you together in a way. Just spending a lot of time together, I think really does a good job. And they do a really good job. And our captains, I have to like give a shout out to, not just our captains right now, but our captains over the years have done a really good job of bringing our teams together and uplifting them, organizing events for just the swimmers to like be together outside of the pool. They spend a lot of time outside of the pool together, at least from what I've heard. So yeah, I don't know, just something about all that hard work at the same time just really, really can cement bonds together.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible. I love this. What I love about these Pacer Pride spotlights that we get to do, which is more of an expansive view of Marywood athletics, the university, and really everybody than Marywood's ever had. And that was my intention. And as an alum, it means the world to me to have this Pacer Pride. I love the fact that we get to know you. We get to know who you are and what you're about. And you are so passionate. You're excited. Like I hear you talking about it, and I've been swimming my whole life. Now I didn't swim on a team, but I swam my whole life. My mom always jokes like I was born in the ocean somewhere. I love swimming. I could breathe underwater longer than I can sit here and take a deep breath and hold it above water. And so I mean, I've always loved the world of, just being in the water and something about that, testing myself, saying, okay, I'm going to go to this side of the pool. I'm going underwater. I can't come up. I got to get to the other side. And I just love to just live in there. So I am not going to pretend that I know what it's like to be a part of a team and that I know what it's like to go to all the rigor that you have to do as a member of the team and everything that you have to put together. But I can tell you that I appreciate it and I love the world that you live in. And you're so passionate that when you talk about you're not a number, you're a person. It's about the people. It's about the relationships. And this is my team. And this is what we do. And I see you smiling and you get excited. I got to find that I don't think, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when you walk into a room, just like any other honest person, when people care and they love something, you can see that. So I got to imagine for you that when you wake up every morning, it seems like you like what you do. And I would venture to say that people can probably figure that out when you're recruiting.
I would like to hope so. I mean, obviously I can't speak for a lot of other people. And I'm not necessarily a morning person, so maybe not when I first wake up in the morning, but
so when you unfortunately get up in the afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the afternoon. It's a good thing I don't see the recruits at 6:30 in the morning. but and swimming is we're also stereotypically one of those sports. It's like we're always up early, which is not necessarily the funnest part of the sport. But I am passionate about swimming. I mean, I love swimming. Swimming's given a lot to me. And I like that, maybe our team's not like the best in the country or even the largest team out there, but I feel like I have a group of kids that feel the same way, that they really love swimming. And it's very misunderstood. Like people don't necessarily understand swimming as a sport that people remember exists every 4 years. But it's a great sport. It really does a lot because there's so many ways to win in swimming. You might not win the meet, but maybe you won an event. Maybe you didn't win an event, but maybe you got a best time. Like there's so many ways to win in swimming, which I think is why it's such a good sport and it's a good confidence builder. But yeah, I mean, I try as much as I can in moments to be passionate and to translate that. And, maybe I'm not perfect at it all the time, but yeah, swimming is just really great. And that's one thing a lot of the older coaches tell me. It's like, you're young, use your energy. It's like, well, that's what I got.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, and you just brought it up, and it was something I was going to go to. Speaking here with Zack Haney, very excited to have Zack here in this Pacer Pride special, and this episode of Pacer Pride featuring head swimming and diving coach Zack Haney here for the men's and women's teams, as well as the aquatic director at Marywood University. Before I let you go, a couple final points, one of them being what you just addressed. You said swimming is something that people pay attention to or remember every 4 years because it's an Olympic sport. And so people say, oh my God, let's go America. And then it falls away. And we see that with soccer. However, the MLS is now, I think, one team away from having as many as Major League Baseball and the MLB and in the NHL. They're right around 30. And it was like I fell asleep when they had 12. I woke up and now they have pretty much right there close to 30. So when you have an Olympic sport and you have people that care so much and it's about our country every 4 years, how do you bridge the gap and how do you remind people like, hey, these people that you see in the Olympics, well, they do this stuff in between that gets them to qualify. So it's a lot more than them just showing up and swimming for a couple weeks.
Yeah, and a little bit of a testament to that too is that in swimming we have like training cycles. So we train a lot for one moment and one meet. So it's not necessarily like the NFL or MLS or anything like that, where like every regular season game is important because you have to qualify for playoffs and everything like that. Like swimmers are literally training 4 years to swim one meet and then hopefully another meet after that. So it's getting people to understand that. But I think America's doing a better job recently of making swimming more visible because there are a lot of other competitions between the Olympics. World championships happen every other year. There's Pan Pacs. Now the ISL is becoming a thing, which is like the new professional swim league, which I'm sure many people who are listening to this have no idea what that is. And that's okay because it's still working on being visible. But it's almost like our version of like the NBA now, or at least what we're trying to do with it.
Yeah.
But it's, first, when it comes to young swimmers, it's like, first you got to capitalize on that Olympic movement of like every 4 years. It's like, wow, swimming's amazing. It's like, all right, we'll get in and try it. And then hopefully we'll hook them there and that they'll stick around. But I won't lie. It is kind of a struggle because it is a paradox because swimming is so simple. It's you swim from one end to the other. Whoever gets there first is the winner. But people still don't really understand all the intricacies. Like you think you understand it, but there's a little bit more to it than that. And it's very exciting when there's something behind it, when you're rooting for your country. That's super exciting. But then like the rest of the year, when it's not international competition, it's like, okay, well, I'm cheering for a person, like, and you have to like kind of figure out where that comes into play. So there's a lot of logistical things that can be done, I suppose. But I mean, just literally, I mean, the kids that are in it, they love it to death. Yeah. It's just being able to show other people. And I think once people get to a meet, like a really good meet, like they'll understand of like when everything's coming down to a race and literally it's hundredths of a second are separating two guys or two girls. And it's really some of the most electric atmosphere I think you can ever get. I think anybody standing on that Olympic pool deck will tell you it's probably the most electric that anything is ever in like a 2-minute span. It's like the most electric you'll ever have an atmosphere. But yeah, it is still something I think we're trying to figure out, despite America is very, very good at swimming. It's about trying to figure out how to get people more interested, I guess, in the watching. The swimming, the actual doing it part. I mean, anybody listening to this or parents listening to this, try your kid in swimming. It's a great sport.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of it is what you said in the reality of all of this, and that is the fact that this sport that is such a beautiful thing, and you said, well, what do they do? Do they just support outside of the Olympics somebody individually? No, they support a school. Marywood University would be a great thing to do. So you can find out more at marywoodpacers.com. And of course, you can get in touch with Zack Haney if you'd like to. All of his information's up there, the aquatic director and the head swimming and diving coach for men's and women's side of things at Marywood University. For this edition of Pacer Pride and this spotlight, Zack, I feel like we barely scratched the surface. We had fun. I got to see emotion, and that excited me and got me jazzed for this thing. When I see somebody care about something, it makes me want to know it. I don't care if you got on here and told me that you love crickets and you want to talk about how cool crickets are. If you feel that, then I'm going to feel that, and I'm going to understand that and give it a shot. I love seeing passion. I love that the things that I love about Marywood, you love too. So on the recruiting trail and wherever it may be, and in the meets and everything that you have going on, I'm a proud supporter of men's and women's swimming and diving at Marywood University, because behind every great swimmer, I would like to think, is a great coach. So keep doing what you're doing. Stay 28 years young as long as you can. And thank you for being a part of today's show.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan. And thank you for everything you're doing for our alma mater here. You're doing a great job. And I love this stuff. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Thanks.